So in the last video, we were able to receive a web request, return information to the browser, and then also do some operations in between. So what we're going to do this time is actually get more complicated information from the request and do some different things depending on that information. So a critical component of this is that we're not actually going to be looking at the payload property of the data anymore. We're going to be looking at the REQ property, so the request. And that is going to contain query information, which will have parameters that we can look at. So where before we've been looking at message.payload, we're going to want message.req.query. So we're going to, first of all, I'm going to explain what that means. So when you're accessing something up here in a browser, you can have a question mark after what you say, and then some text information. So if I say question mark, value equals 1, then that's going to get sent through here, and then according to this information, if we were to look at rec.query.value, then that would be an object containing a 1. So we can actually look at whether or not this is the case by grabbing this debug, just making a duplicate of it, and then rather than outputting the payload at the end, we're going to say message.req. What was it exactly that we wanted? So req.query.value. .query.value. We're going to put that out to the debug window. So we're just going to split that off. And so now, rather than looking at the payload in here, as we have been up until now, we're going to be looking at the query value. So if I hit deploy, we're now going to be looking at a slightly different thing. If I hit enter here, you can see that it's come out, and it's a string with a value of 1. Whereas if I put the value to, say, 2, then that's pumping out a value of 2. If I say a value of hello, for example, can be any number of things. So let's just use a value of 1 for now. And you might say, okay, what do I want to do with this? Well, if you remember what we were doing with the if statements before, we can put a switch in here and do different things depending on what the properties of that are. So if we click here, and again, the property that we're looking at is not message.payload. It is, I'm going to copy it, message.rec.query.value. So if I use that instead, this is going to change the output according to what it is. So let's just say equal to 1 or 2, or say hello, and then anything else. So otherwise. So again, we can see 1, 2, hello, or otherwise. I can delete the comment now, I think. And so we can essentially just do different things depending on what that request is. So by coming through here, this is going to set the payload to be hello HTTP. And that would be if it's 1. So rather than that, we can maybe say you entered a 1. And then we can make it say that down in the payload as well, of course. So that can be the top one. You might want to change the size of each of these just to get a bit more space. So that's if it enters a 1. Now we can go through here. So this condition is equal to 2. So hello HTTP, you entered a 2. And we can output it to the same HTTP response node. Now for this one, it will be if it says hello. So I can maybe say hello to you too. You too. So if you want to see the label change, you will have to change both of them. and then you said something else. And all of these need to be checking message.rec.query.value. So they're actually checking payload still, so I'll have to... no, sorry. This is... Nope, that was actually fine as it is. Ignore that. So this is setting the payload. I've just got to make sure... Okay, yeah, awesome. So we will combine all of these, make sure they're all outputting in the same way. And there we go. So this will, hopefully, whenever we make a web request, it will show us what the request's query value is in the debug window. But then it will also send the information out to this switch. And then if we've input a 1, we'll return back, hello, you entered a 1. If it's a 2, we'll say, hello, you entered a 2. It'll say something different. It says hello, or it'll say something different if we said something else. So if we now click deploy, and we try this for value equals 1, you can see it says, hello, HTTP, you entered a 1, which is what we expect. If we say a 2, hello, you entered a 2, and we can see here the strings are as we expect. What if we say a 3? You said something else, but down here we can see that query value is a number 3. And then the response that it will do that for is if we say hello. So it says hello to you too. So yeah, because we're able to collect information just from a web browser request, that means that through the browser, someone could potentially give instructions to a device remotely. What that means is basically anything that connects to the internet or connects to the web or can make these kinds of requests can interface with the device that's running Node-RED. And seeing as Node-RED will run on Raspberry Pis and loads of different things, this is a really easy way to include web interfacing between your project and anyone who's on the same network and points a browser to the right position. So hopefully that was useful, and I'll see you in the next video.